All right. Good morning, Chair Postman, Member Garrett, Member Bolandroth. The lobby is open. Recording has begun.
Good morning. Thanks, Dustin. We will convene the Liquor and Cannabis Board Caucus meeting for Tuesday, May 10th, 2022. Our first item is approval of minutes from our April 26, 2022 meeting. Motion to approve that?
I move approval of the April 26th Board Caucus minutes.
Great. Then I will second that. Then those are approved. And now approval of the May 3rd, 2022 Board Caucus minutes. Motion to approve those.
I make a motion to approve those minutes.
I second.
And then those are approved. Jim, that was your first official action. How'd that feel?
Felt good. Felt good.
It was. I know that was
tracking for whatever reason, but good.
Yeah. A dramatic moment. And we will move right into board meeting prep and rules update from our esteemed rules team. Kathy, I'll turn it over to you and you can tell us what's happening.
Sure. Thanks, Chair Postman. Good morning, Board Member Garrett and Volendroff. Nice to see you. So I'll just start with a brief update on rules in progress, and then each of the rules coordinators will be presenting tomorrow, so they'll brief you on what they'll be providing, and then I will too, because I'm bringing something tomorrow as well. So starting on the alcohol side of our work, want to touch on axe throwing. We were going to bring the Sierra 103 package to you tomorrow, but we're going to delay that for a couple weeks. Because Chair Postman will not be here tomorrow, so we want to make sure that the full board here was available to vote on that Sierra 103 package. And then with respect to Senate Bill 5940, I hope I got that right. I'm wearing the wrong glasses, but 5940 work is still in progress on that, and Audrey can provide any additional if she wishes to. But it looks like we're moving ahead on that one. And then Audrey will speak to you about the package with respect to electronic filing that she'll be bringing to you tomorrow. And then Jeff will speak to pesticide action levels, the project to change the word marijuana to cannabis throughout our rules is still on schedule. I think we've received a handful of comments. Nothing that would change the course of action that we're following on that at all. And then Robert will speak to THC cannabinoid definitions, 101 that he'll be bringing to you tomorrow. And then I'd like to speak really briefly to the social equity project. I'm going to bring a request to withdraw our CR 102, and that was filed on April 13th. Regarding amendments to existing rules and a new rule section, and then changing the word, marijuana to cannabis throughout the sections that we're amending. We'd like to engage in some additional research and analysis to make sure that we align with the intentions of the social equity program. So we anticipate, completing that additional research and analysis, and then bringing an updated proposal to you once that's completed on or about June 22nd. We're projecting we'll be done by that time. We remain committed to implementing a successful social equity program, and we just feel like there's additional work that we can do to make that so, or get closer to it. So I'll stop there. Any questions?
My only question on the timeline for social equity, you said to be back by June 22nd. I just think the big question is, what does withdrawing do to the timeline that we already were operating under?
It's going to adjust it probably 3 or 4 weeks. It's not going to be terribly significant, and I think the goal of the agency was to begin to implement the program towards in the early fall.
Right.
Late summer, early fall, and so that keeps us in line with that timeline. So it doesn't throw us off by a lot.
Okay. And again, just to be clear, when we talk about the program, what we're saying is that's when we would be able to start to receive applications for these licenses, right?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Okay. And that comes to the board tomorrow.
It does.
All right. I'll miss that, but okay. Thank you for that.
All right, and just really quickly before I hand it off to rules coordinators, we still are in line to open up packaging and labeling rules and advertising rules. At this point, it looks like it's going to be early June before we start that work. We have some internal discussion that we want to engage in before we do that as well. And then Audrey will be leading some projects as well with respect to making those various amendments that we need to on the alcohol rules that staff have been asking for quite some time. And just some general rule hygiene that we need to do. We're also projecting we'll open those in early June. So right around the corner, really.
Great.
All right, so if I may, I will hand it over to Audrey to give you a briefing on what she'll be providing tomorrow.
Great.
Thanks, Audrey.
Thanks, Kathy, and good morning, Chair Postman, board members Garrett and Bollendroff. So tomorrow I'll be requesting approval to file a CR 102 rule proposal related to electronic transmission of documents for service and filing. So some brief background, this project was initiated on February 2nd, 2022, so earlier this year, when the board approved filing the CR 101 to begin considering amending or creating new sections to allow the LCB to receive or serve documents by electronic transmission. So a new rule section is needed to streamline and modernize business and adjudicative processes within the agency, as well as bring a consistent approach across the divisions. And we anticipate this approach will also benefit anyone that interacts with the agency, so our licensees, permit holders, and other interested parties, as well as reduce potential impacts to any future agency technology systems modernization updates, SMP. So although no public comments were received during the initial CR 101 comment period from February 2nd to March 18th, after that period ended, we did share conceptual draft rules publicly through GovDelivery on April 11th and received 3 public comments in response to that. And those 3 comments were neither for nor against the rulemaking. They were questions, statements of interest, and operational feedback. Those comments are included in attachment B to the draft CR 102 memo that was shared with you, and we considered those comments as we developed the rule proposal. Staff from the Board Adjudications Unit, Licensing Division, Enforcement and Education Division, and Finance Division were all involved in developing the proposed rule language. So a brief summary of the proposed rules. The proposed rules adopt electronic transmission as an additional means for service and filing of documents, and electronic transmission is defined as including but not limited to email, web portal, fax, or other similar methods. The proposed rule also outlines procedures for service and filing of documents by electronic transmission and describes how date and time of delivery or receipt will be determined. With respect to compliance costs, in this case, the agency anticipates the business will not have any costs associated with complying with the proposed rules because the rules authorize electronic transmission as additional means. So all the existing options for service and filing, such as by mail or in-person delivery, would also remain viable options. And if a licensee wanted to keep using those, they could. So the CR 102 describes that analysis in more detail. In terms of timeline, if the CR 102 is approved tomorrow, I'll file it with the code revisor and the formal comment period will begin. So a new comment period will open. The public comment period will close end of day June 22nd, and that's when the public hearing will be set for as well. After that, if no substantive changes need to be made to the rule language, the earliest the CR 103 or final rules could be adopted is July 6th. And if they are approved on the 6th, they would go into effect on August 6th. So that's all I have on that presentation. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
No, I'm good on this. Thanks. Anything? No?
Thank you.
Thank you. Looks like you're up, Mr. Kildaw. Oh, there's Kathy again.
But
Okay, well, I'll pick up here. Good morning, Chair Postman, and good morning, Member Garrett and Member Vollendroff. At tomorrow's board meeting, we will hold the public hearing on proposed amendments to WAC 314-55-108 regarding pesticide action levels in cannabis. The proposed amendments would update technical chemical isomer information in the WAC for several of the pesticides currently allowed for use in the production of cannabis. Other proposed changes to this rule would update language to ensure consistency with the recently adopted cannabis quality control testing rules and would remove redundant rule language from this section. And finally, the amendments would also replace the term quality assurance testing with the term quality control testing, consistent with those recently adopted rules. Since the CR 102 public comment period began on March 30th, we have received just one public comment on the proposed rules. If there are no substantive changes that are made to the proposed rule language, we anticipate bringing a CR 103 permanent rulemaking package to you for consideration on May 25th, 2022. And under that timeline, the updated rule would then become effective on June 25th, 2022. And that's all I have for the rulemaking hearing tomorrow, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
I got just a quick one as I was looking at the memo where you on, I guess starting on page 1, you have the actual list of the different things and then the action level parts per million. So, and basically everything is crossed out of the first one. So, I mean, it seems obvious, but I just want to make sure. So we're basically crossing everything out that's there, restating it in the new rule, even if some of those levels aren't going to change.
Right, yeah,
Okay.
the levels do not change at all. The convention of crossing out the existing table of pesticides in the rule text is the practice of the code revisor's office.
I see. Okay, that's it.
So,
All right, great.
So actually, the changes are just to add some alternative names to the pesticide that identify the isomers or the different kind of sub-varieties of that pesticide.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I was trying to figure out what was new. I see those sort of sub listings under a couple of the items. Okay, great.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. It's just the style that they do it for their purposes.
Okay, appreciate that.
Okay, thank you.
Right. Okay. Kathy, oh, Robert?
I just
Someone?
wanted to make sure Robert was going to come on, so thanks, Robert. Thank
No
you.
problem.
Hi, Robert.
Hi. Good morning, Kathy. Good morning, Chair Postman, Board Member Garrett, and Board Member Vollendroff. Tomorrow, I will request your approval to file a CR 101 pre-proposal statement of inquiry regarding expanding definitions related to the evaluation of additives, solvents, ingredients, compounds, or concentrates used in the production or processing of cannabis products. The WSLCB is considering creating new, amending, or repealing existing rule sections as necessary to identify and further define terms, including but not limited to additives, solvents, ingredients, compounds, or concentrates used in the production or processing of cannabis products. Additional revisions may be considered where appropriate. And so the production and processing of cannabis products may involve the use of potentially harmful additives, solvents, ingredients, compounds, or concentrates, and rules are needed to further define these used in the production or processing of cannabis products that pose or may pose a risk to public health or youth access. So if approved by the board, a rule project team consisting of members across multiple divisions will convene to draft conceptual rules. So I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about this CR 101.
I have no questions.
Okay,
question. Robert, then just for the public's sake, this then is the subject of at least 2 more deliberative dialogues, right? That's the work that we're doing there. Or Kathy?
Yeah, I can help with that if you're
Sure.
okay with it, Robert. Yeah, we do, and I'm glad you brought that up, Chair Postman. We do have 2 more deliberative dialogues scheduled, one May 31st and another one on June, I want to say 21st. I'll need to double check my calendar on that. The deliberative dialogue on May 31st is going to have more of enforcement leaning to it. I think up to this point, we've been paying close attention to the scientific definitions of these products, and trying to get those scientific definitions into some sort of regulatory structures can be challenging. We saw that in the last, certainly the last round of rulemaking, but also in some of the legislation that we saw during the session. So those dialogues are, of course, designed to help inform both the rulemaking and potential future legislation. But to that end, the next deliberative dialogue will be leaning in a different direction so we can get a different perspective. And then we're also very interested in behavioral health and prevention perspective on Delta 8 and other products like it. Sorry, Robert.
No, that's great. I appreciate the additional kind of expansion of this. So yeah, the 2 deliberative dialogues that are going to be coming in May and June are relevant and germane to this a CR package.
Will we, I hope I'm not stirring the pot unnecessarily. Will we be trying to define impairing then? I know that's part of the discussions at the dialogues.
I think it's fair to say that we'll be considering if that's the word we need to use, or if there's some other measurement or some other word to frame impairment. We've tried, I think we've talked about intoxicating.
Right.
I think at one point in conversation there was psychotropic. We know that's
Psychoreactive for
yes, there's a whole
yeah.
collection of words that we could add here or think about. The other thing, and I don't think you mentioned this yet, Robert, but there will be a listen and learn session scheduled just almost immediately after the last deliberative dialogue in June.
Great.
So there will be an opportunity for folks to comment and respond to draft conceptual rules.
Great.
Right. And to that point, I'm going to brief you on kind of a high overview of the timeline tomorrow during the board, but we did consider that when determining when we were going to try and present the CR 102. And so that's going to be on September 14th. So we wanted to make sure there was enough time for both the deliberative dialogues and the listen and learn sessions to occur, to allow for the feedback from stakeholders and industry.
And when do we think we'd be done with this then, if that schedule holds? We do a 102 in September, right?
Sure. So the 102 would be, and this is all tentative.
Right.
Right. So the 102 would be.
Hold you to it.
Okay, good. The 102 is September 14th, and then the public hearing would be October 26th, and the CR 103 would be November 23rd. Now that's if everything goes according, and then that would mean, of course, the rules go into effect on December 24th, just in time for Christmas. So,
right. Okay, great. Thank you.
I'll hand it off to Kathy if there aren't any other questions.
We're good. Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
think that's all we have. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, thank Kathy. Appreciate that. Okay, and that brings us to our last item, which is just board member and executive assistant reports. FYI, I will be gone. I won't be there for the board meeting tomorrow or the caucus next week. But after that, I will be back. I'm reachable, of course. Dustin can always find me. Member Garrett will be acting chair, yes? Yes. And then, I guess I'll miss litigation review next week too, but I'll talk to the litigation adjudication team about that. So, anything to report from the members?
This is Ali. I have nothing to report, and I can say I have actually just been staring at Dustin's frozen face on my thing this entire time. It's like he's just there frozen and have not seen any other faces. So, but
Wow,
I
okay.
stay put to make sure I can.
It's all work. That's good. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
and that's not really fair because when faces freeze, it's never flattering.
And that's what I
So
look.
she's not
I've been
staring at
looking
a good picture of me.
Dustin, I all I can see on my screen is your frozen face. I have not seen any other faces, but as long as I knew that I was being heard and I could hear, I wasn't gonna touch the computer.
That's right. Yes, we both were having some weird computer problems today, so I hope that works out. Member Volendorf, anything?
No, I've made it into my second week, and I have to say that last week I was able to participate in some employee recognition for public employees recognition, and was able to meet a number of LCB employees and supervisors and directors, and I'm very impressed with what I've seen so far, and enjoying what I'm doing, and look forward to continuing to do this work.
That's great. Yeah, I didn't want to say anything, but always excited when someone shows up for their second caucus meeting. That's a good sign. Yeah, the employee engagement event, which Dustin played a key role in, both the online version and the in-person, they were great. They were really something. You know, on Thursday last week, they had what was supposed to be this drive-through event where people would come. We'd give them little, tchotchkes to thank them for their work. It was pouring rain, cold. Nobody drove through. They all stopped, got out of their car, hung out. We were all outside, kind of under a tent, kind of not. And people just really seemed to be enjoying that sort of time. And I know they were excited to have a chance to meet you too, Jim. So that was cool. It worked out well.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Dustin, anything?
Nothing additional from me. Thank you.
All right. Great. Well, with that, we will adjourn the caucus meeting for May 10th. And you all have a good week. I'll see you next week.
Have a great time off.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.